Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. As I continue to try to fix this hood. Um, very interesting week. Very interesting weekend. I didn't do too much, of course, because we're all naturally on lockdown. But welcome to Monday for those who are essential workers. Here's what's happening this week, and here's what came out over the weekend about politics. The Justice Department has said that they are going to launch a probe into all of those good senators and all of those good congressmen who are on these intelligence committees to investigate why they sold so much stock 3 days before the collapse. Worst economic crash to hit the U.S. Out of major richer countries. So that includes China, Russia, Italy, those type of places. United States is expected to deal with the worst of that. Trump approval rating has scored since the crisis has happened, which is normal, but we'll discuss that too. He also states that we should be on our way by June 1st. So with that being said, let's talk about that. So in politics, Italy needs to be, says CNN.com, Politico, and foreign officials are saying Italy needs to be more strict on their population because of the continual spread. And then since they have come out and said that they have actually gone down in cases, which turned out to be a lie, their lockdowns have been extremely less strenuous. So the spread continues. So Italy, as far as the United States is concerned, Trump is saying that they are going to further or stretchen or broaden the lockdown that they have going on in Italy right now. Some countries, and this is going on outside of the country, some countries are having a hard time of locking down, like India. India, because of its mass populations and then most of its jobs being inside of the city, and then most of these people who are working at these jobs live in villages that are miles and miles and miles away from the city. They are unable to lock down because they're all trying to get home. So you have these major masses of people that are unable to get home because of the lockdown. Moving back over to the U.S., certain states are mandating that if you are coming into the state and staying for more than 2 days, then you have to lock down for 14 days. And then they are also enacting $1,000 fine for those who are not staying in lockdown. So those that are living in California, certain parts of New York State as of this morning, if you're not staying on lockdown, then you will receive $1,000 fine. And that actually starts today. So keep your head out for that. If you're not on lockdown or if you don't have one of those piece of papers that states you're an essential worker, you will receive $1,000 fine if not arrested. Certain municipalities, smaller municipalities where there is a lockdown but there isn't a high rate of incidents, they are locking you up over this. So self-quarantine is the best thing to do. Hospitals, masks are being stolen by the thousands, whether it's from a warehouse, whether it's from the hospital, or whether it is from your local doctor's office. Warehouses are being broken into all over the country and people are stealing masks. People stop stealing masks. They are suing. The federal government is going to prosecute those who are caught stealing these things during this crisis, crimes against humanity. So you're looking at 25 to life, if not death, for these particular crimes. Questions, and then moving further. To maintain happiness during this time, professionals are saying people should paint, people should drink, people should try drugs that they've never tried before. And then people should also find activities to do inside of your space. A man was arrested in New York City over the weekend for hosting a bonfire party. And he is now facing up to a $5,000 fine because he had almost 500 people at this bonfire barbecue. So that is very interesting there. But moving further, because it's Monday and I'm going to make this short for people, Trump's approval rating has skyrocketed. And during crises, it is not uncommon for a president's approval rating to skyrocket. And that is why The reason behind that is because during a crisis, people lean on their politics, their government officials to kind of guide the way to get them through this. But all of what's going on is not totally Donald Trump's fault. And here's why. To put it into perspective, in 1950, the federal government's employee staff number was 5% of the total employment rate at that time. So the total employment rate in the 1950s was between 87 and 82%. Unemployment rate was still pretty high. We were coming back from a recession, and a lot of people were in the military, coming from the military, things like that. So calculate that in. But out of 100%, 5% of total capita of every American citizen, 5% of that population was an American federal worker from the 1950s through about 1956. In 1958, a little bit before 1958, Franklin Delano Roosevelt introduced lean but effective government. Lean but effective government, in our perspectives, is a government that's there, but a government that's not totally in your business. So still a democracy, but the government steps back and they gave more control and more oversight to the states. Here's the issue with that. After years and years and years of underfunded government, and the reason the government is overfunded because certain entities during the 1940s and the 1950s, stirring from the Great Depression, were federalized, and they made these federal jobs. So during a time of crises, it is easier to enact certain policies. So after the lean and whatever government that FDR introduced happened, that gave businesses and companies the right to politicize industry. So with that being said, the United States Postal Service being the prime example, a private entity but considered federal. A lot of the health industries are private industries but considered federal. A lot of intelligence industries considered private industries but federal. So the repercussions that we're dealing with now is from years and years of the government not wanting to be the government. There are other democratic societies, and just to take this into further perspective, the United States has the most cases, not because we're doing the most testing, because in reality we're not doing the most testing per capita. So the United States has only done about 17% per capita versus Italy has done 75% per capita, and versus India, China, these places have done more testing per capita. The United States, and where Donald Trump messed up in the beginning, was saying, oh yeah, everyone can go get a test if they want to, which was a lie, and then turned to find out that the test was faulty. But that's because the federal government gave a job that should have been government to a private industry, which then creates all of this red tape. Back in the 1950s, there were at average 7 layers of bureaucracy per entity of government or per establishment. And now you're looking at almost 70 entities per government. And when I say entities, those are people who are in control of the oversight. So your bridges, your roads, things like that, that should be all federal jobs, and they used to be federal jobs, are no longer federal jobs because someone needed a bill passed, and then someone wanted to make this private because they needed some money from this business, and then that's how all of these things became private. So as I always state, call your senator, call your congressman, because our government at this point is essentially failing us because of so much red tape, because everyone has their hand out. So on this Monday, since there isn't much politics to talk about, other than in New Orleans where the death toll has reached 301, in Louisiana, So that is still due to be the next epicenter. Just think about why our government is removing and responding so low. And then when we think about that and we take that into account, let's go back in history a little bit and see where all of this started and why it continues. It's all a money game, guys. The government has their hand out, small businesses and people like us are going to pay for that. Versus these big businesses that should be, like I said, federal businesses aren't. And this week, I want everybody to do their research and peep that and understand why government is not as big as it used to be. Because 5% is a big number, and then dropping that down to 2%, and then underpaying and underscoring the hard work that our federal officials do. And then when crises like this happen, there's a reason why the money takes so long to get to us. 70 other people to answer to. So I'm in my position, and I have 70 supervisors in front of me who all have to approve this document versus 17 people in the 1950s just having to approve it. And then before that, it was less oversight. And I get the oversight because people are greedy, but 70 people for this to have to travel through, and that's on average, y'all. That's on average. So until next time, everybody be safe. Continue to wash your hands. Continue to be healthy. Go get you some vitamins. Don't overbuy. Until tomorrow, guys. I'll catch you later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on YouTube and every single podcast platform out there where we talk about politics and we make it make sense. So until next time, guys, thank you so much.